It's time for Net at Night. Amber MacArthur's here. We're going to talk about the latest news from the web, Web 2.0, and visit with Leia Culver. Her last startup hit was Pounce. She's back with a new replacement for chat. It's called Convore. We'll have the details next on Net at Night.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Audio bandwidth for Net at Night is provided by Winamp for Android, the ultimate media player for your desktop and Android device, featuring wireless sync. Download it free at winamp.com/Android. Video bandwidth for Net at Night is provided by Cashfly at CACHEFLY.com. It's time for Net at Night with Amber MacArthur and Leah Laporte. This is episode 191, recorded March 1st, 2011. Convore. Net at Night is brought to you by Squarespace.com, the fast and easy way to publish a high-quality website or blog. For a free 14-day trial, go to squarespace.com/night. And by Audible.com. To download a free audiobook of your choice, go to audible.com/night. It's time for Net at Night from Petaluma, California, US of A. I'm Leah Laporte.
And I'm Amber MacArthur from Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Hello, Amberlicious. How are you?
Good. How are you doing, Leo?
I'm very well.
Very good.
Yep. Did you watch the Oscars last night? Sunday night?
I sure did. It was a sad few hours.
I'm curious because it's an American thing. Don't you have your own, like, Juno Awards or something in Canada?
Yeah, but it doesn't quite stack up, Leo. It's not the same. So most Canadians watch the Oscars as well. And, more than anything, I was excited watching them just by watching the commentary on Twitter, which was probably the most fascinating portion of the evening in my mind.
Twitter went crazy. I think I saw on Mashable some statistics. It was but interesting. Not as big on Twitter as, say, the Grammys. And the theory is, well, there are a lot of musical artists on Twitter, so their fans, the Gaga Bieber crowd, is much more likely to tweet than the Oscar crowd because, James Franco's on Twitter, but, a lot of movie stars don't use Twitter.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right. And also with the Grammys, the show itself is just more engaging, I think. And
this year, God, the Oscars were terrible this year.
I felt it as though it was painful to really watch them, to be honest with you. From the moment it started, I just had this sinking feeling that the entire show was going to be so boring. And anytime Billy Crystal got on stage or anyone else, like even Robert Downey Jr., you just felt like, please stay up there. Don't leave.
That's what Roger Ebert said. He said Billy Crystal comes on stage and gets the first 2 hours in and gets the first laugh of the evening. I felt for Anne Hathaway. I thought she looked beautiful. I thought she was great. She sings. I couldn't believe how well she sings. But it was an uphill battle for him because she was carrying the weight of James Franco. And I think the problem is I think YouTube is squarely to blame for all this. Watch how I cleverly turn this back to Net at Night.
Oh, I love it. That is possible. And I totally agree that she was carrying the weight. I felt when I was watching them together, it was kind of like I was thinking back to my high school graduation, and it felt a little bit like the award show where nothing was going right. And there was like the goofy stone guy who was sort of standing there and not really paying attention. And then the other girl trying to hold it together. It just felt so amateurish. It was a huge disappointment all around.
I think what I saw was a focus group. That either ABC or the Academy or both said, we're not getting the youth crowd. They're all watching YouTube. So what can we do? We'll bring in young presenters. We'll put auto-tune. We'll try to do, they had that stupid, horrible auto-tune segment where Ron and Hermione are singing about their little ball. Horrible. And then
the worst auto-tune ever, probably.
The worst. It's like somebody with a tin ear said, well, if the kids love auto-tune, okay, good. We'll do that. And then they brought in the kids from the school at the end, the also YouTube stars. It was very clearly a bogus attempt from a bunch of old farts to appeal to a youth audience and thereby appealing to no one.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think it reminds me a little bit of what mainstream, especially the news media, tries to do as far as integrating social media and the internet into their broadcast, where it's it's sort of a weak attempt. You know, they don't jump into it 100%. They just try to splatter little bits of technology here and there, and it just never really fits. And it doesn't feel authentic or real in any way. You know, you have James Franco coming out on stage with a smartphone in hand. Justin Timberlake kind of mentions apps. And then, like you said, the auto-tune.
Justin Timberlake said something about apps? What did he say? I missed
that. I guess he, I read this in a New York Times article where he mentioned, I bet there's an app for that at some point in his presentation. So there were lots of little mentions here and there to try to engage the younger audience. But and I shouldn't say younger, I should say more web savvy audience, but it felt forced to me. And I felt like I wanted a Twitter stream up on the television at the same time to show these guys, do you know what the social media world is truly saying right now? Because if you did, you would stop all this nonsense.
Was Twitter mean? I think they were pretty mean. I know Roger Ebert was devastating about the whole thing.
Yeah, it was pretty mean. You know, there was a point actually I was watching some of it and I felt like it even got too mean for me. It just, you know, people were just on the attack because that's so easy to do. However, you know, in my mind, Leo, this is a live broadcast. This is a perfect opportunity to address the comments on Twitter. Like, I just wonder if you had sort of a Jon Stewart up there who said, hey, I know all of you on Twitter, you're not loving the content, so maybe we'll switch things up a little bit. I mean, that's the mismatch for me. Why didn't something like that happen?
Because they're terrified of that.
They're terrified of acknowledging that it exists. They want the one-way communication, right?
They're pretending. They're pretending.
Yeah. But if someone was actually watching it and listening, it would have been a perfect opportunity to engage that audience instead of just letting people sit there and be so vocal and so hateful about all of the, you know, not all the presenters, but many of the presenters and the content, especially with the hosts.
36.4 million tweets during the Academy Award. That's fewer than the Super Bowl by a couple of million. Of course, the more people watch the Super Bowl than watch the Oscars. It's interesting what the peaks were. Twitter put all this stuff out on their Twitter blog. You know, you can kind of when you see these peaks, James Franco walking out at the beginning saying, "I'm tweeting this." That must make Ev and Biz feel good.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
You know, I'm tweeting this. But still, I don't know. Here's the Oscars hashtag. You can on the Twitter blog, media.twitter.com, you could see the peaks and valleys. I don't know. I think this was a failed event, and you're right. I think there could have been. I don't know. It seems like
it could have been so much more. I mean, it could have been so much more. It could have been so much more. But you know what?
Watson will be on next year and host it.
Yeah, that would. You know what? I almost feel as though anyone would have been better. Although I do agree, Anne Hathaway.
She was great.
When she was by herself, she was much better, and she just looked beautiful.
She was just carrying James, and that was the problem.
Yeah,
I love him. And he's a smart guy. But I don't know what happened. I don't know.
I don't know.
Real quickly, coming up, our guest, Leia Culver. You may remember her from Pounce.
Yeah, I believe that we had her on the show talking about Pounce many moons ago, and she's going to join us again today to talk about a new service that she has launched online with a couple other people called Convore, and this fits in the group messaging category. And it's really an exploding category right now, although I almost have flashbacks to the late 1990s with like ICQ and stuff.
Yeah, well, is it more like chat than it is? We'll find out about it.
Yeah, definitely. I've been experimenting a little bit with it, so I think it'll be a fun chat to see where she's going with all this. And also should mention that Beluga, which is a competitor in this space, it was started by a couple of ex-Google employees. They just announced that Facebook has acquired them.
What is Beluga? It's group messaging?
It's group messaging. So it's a similar thing to Convore, although I would argue the experience isn't as good. However, from the article I just read, it seems as though Facebook wanted the talent more than anything, maybe even more than the technology, because the creators are so technically savvy.
I think that's what's happened with Facebook's acquisitions all along, is they haven't actually. It's always been for the people, not the content, not the site or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, I logged into both of them at the same time, Convore and Beluga, and I mean, the Convore experience is just 10 times better, at least from a new user standpoint.
Well, and Text Plus, the Goji, the company that does Text Plus, which is another group messaging for iOS, and I think it's also on Android. Just raised a ton of money as well.
Group Me is another one too, I think.
Yeah. But I guess it's the flavor of the month.
Yeah, it's the flavor of the month. So be fun to get inside Leia's head and figure out.
$15 million C round for Goji and social messaging. So there's a ton of.
Wow.
I wonder, did the venture capitalists get together and decide this is the flavor this week? I mean, or is it group? It's got to be groupthink.
It must be. I mean, I kind of have this underwhelming feeling when I visit some of the sites in the sense that there's nothing totally new there. Right. It doesn't feel brand new to me, but maybe I'm missing something.
Well, let's find out. We're going to talk to Leah.
Yeah,
she can tell us why Convore is going to be the site.
And it's slick, Convore, the whole user experience is really nice and designed really well, just like Pounce was, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, well, she's good. So here's a bunch of, I could join some groups. There's Hacker News. I'll join that group and join a tech group. And
there's a TWiT group too, Leo.
I'm already in the TWiT group, Django community. I know, I bet this is in Django. I know Leia's a big Django fan. We'll talk about that. Oh, South by Southwest. Are you going to South by this year?
You know what's really funny? I'm speaking at an event in Austin. I believe it's March 16th or 17th,
What?
Literally like the day or two after it ends.
Go early.
I know I would like to, but I have too much stuff to do here, and then I'm going straight to another event afterwards. That's awful. I know, it's too bad. Are you going to be there, Leah?
Oh yeah, we're broadcasting live. We've got a venue, Momo's, which is a great little club. We'll be there Sunday the 13th. I'll be doing the Tech Guy show at 1 o'clock. We'll be doing TNT at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. TWiT will be there 5 p.m. and then we're having a meetup at 7 p.m. after TWiT.
Wow.
So if you're in Austin for South by Momo's, it's free. I think there's room for about 500 people. We'll have to, if we get more than that, I don't know if we will, but if we get more than that, we'll have to send people away. So get there early if you can. And we'll also be covering this live on the air, so you can watch. You don't have to go down to Momo's. And we'll do a party coverage on Saturday night and Sunday night, as well as the live event. So it's going to be fun. I like South by Southwest.
Oh, you know what? I think if there's one conference that I would go to, it would be South by Southwest. It just seems like it's one of the best. But Leo, I believe that you broke some type of record last year.
Last year, I was awarded. I have somewhere the badge or the patch. It's lost in the junk behind me, but I have for the longest I think no one will ever challenge this. The longest continuous live stream body surf. So you can't just body surf for a while, and you can't just live stream it. You have to do both
at the same time.
At the same time. So nobody's ever going to beat me on that one.
You could beat your own record, though, Leo.
I don't think. No. I'm going to be Lisa Bettany's going to be covering with me, and Tom and Sarah are going to be together, and Lisa and I are going to go to the Dig Nation event at Stubbs again this year.
Oh, fun.
Which is where I crowd surfed last time, and I told Lisa this time if they start chanting, you're going.
Oh boy.
Not me.
That could
You're
get
going. Yeah, well, actually, I didn't think about that. You're right. That might not be a good idea.
Maybe not. Maybe,
No. I enjoyed the groping, but not everyone would, I think.
Not everyone would. Have you guys started your new show yet? I think you did sort of a run-through.
We did, and it's called Mostly Photo with mostly Lisa and me. Trey Ratcliffe was on our first episode. We've put it on YouTube, but we will start a feed very soon. It's kind of in beta test. We're workshopping it, as the kids say. And I think we're going to do our next episode tomorrow, Wednesday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern at live.twit.tv. So, it's fun. I mean, I love talking about, me, I love talking about photography.
Oh, yeah, it's so much fun. I mean, and Lisa, I always check out all of the photos that she posts on her Facebook page. And
she is a good photographer.
She is so talented. So it'll be a really fun show. And she's a Canadian girl, so that's always good, Leo.
We always like that.
I should also mention something about South by Southwest since I have it in the headlines. If you remember a site I mentioned a while ago, I think it was our pick of the week called Lanyard.
Oh, yeah. I didn't remember that.
It's kind of neat. It's a conference site that allows you to find out what other conferences your friends are going to or speaking at. And they've launched a really interesting guide to South by Southwest, the interactive side. So you can find out what events your contacts are going to, and they'll also email you coverage from different sessions that you've missed. So I was always impressed with this site. It's a pretty simple idea, but you just sign up with Twitter and get all this information. But a good way if you are going to South by Southwest to stay on top of where everybody everybody is hanging out.
I also use Plancast. I think these are both competitors.
So Plancast does kind of the same
It's the
thing?
same thing, yeah. Plancast.com. You put your events that you're going to be going to. And, of course, oh, look, I'm a featured user, as is Scoble. And,
of course you are.
Yeah, well, of course I am. Why wouldn't I be? And then, except I only use it for events like this. You know, that's what for me, this is all about, is these kinds of events. So between this and Lanyard, I should know what all my friends are up to.
Yes, you should.
That's good. And these are all the speakers. So, okay, I see Kevin Pollak's going to be speaking. Scott Monty of Ford is going to be. So, if you want to see, you know, Scott Monty or John Gruber or Gary Vaynerchuk, you can follow them, and then you'll know. See, now I'm following him, and I should I attend his seminar on Monday on the Thank You Economy? I should absolutely. Let me plan to attend that. Actually, I'll have left by then, unfortunately.
Are you just going for one night?
Just the weekend. We're going for Saturday and Sunday, yeah, because I have to get back. I have this, I don't know, this show to do or something. Let's see. Kevin Pollak's going to do banking on big brands and celebs for the web. Yeah, I should go to that one. That's Saturday. Let's plan to attend that. Yeah, so this is kind of it's cool. Yeah, I like this. Lanyard, Lanyard easy, without the second A.
Yeah, I feel like there's just so many new sites and services launching all the time that I have such a short attention span. So in like 30 seconds, I need to be able to understand what to do or I leave. And I know that's terrible, but you know, I did that with Convore. It was super easy to sign up. Same thing with Lanyard, just very intuitive off the bat.
Well, they're all doing the same thing now with Twitter and Facebook, the Facebook Connect or the Twitter Connect. So you don't have to create an account on any of these sites anymore. You just use, well,
some people don't, I know.
Because then they have all my Twitter information, right?
Yes, that's true. And in fact, I just invited someone to sign up for Beluga, and he didn't want to sign up because he didn't want to sign in with his Facebook information and those credentials, which I totally understand. I mean, everybody has their own.
I don't know, though. I mean, is it bad? I don't know.
It doesn't bother me, but, you know, to each their own, right?
I'm going to giving a lecture on Thursday for my kids' high school that we're inviting high school kids and parents to on grooming your e-appearance.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, this is something you talk about, but kids, of course, kids know, I think they intuitively kind of know when you post something on the internet, you're posting it for the world to see. I think they know that. But I want to underscore that and that this stuff lives on regardless of whether you think it's private or not, and it could be appearing at any time, you know, when you're looking for, trying to get into college or trying to get a job or just trying to have get married, all of this stuff may surface again. But then I want to talk about what you can do proactively. To groom your e-appearance, and that means really mostly participate on the net, because the stuff that you do with your website and so forth is the stuff that people are going to find if they Google you. So make sure that you control your image.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, I think right now, have you ever seen that site, Your Open Book? Maybe we talked about that on the show before.
Tell me about that.
I think it's youropenbook.net or .org, and you may want to show it to them, Leo, if you have an internet connection. It allows you to search any term like I hate my boss or I hate school or I hate my mom, and you can see who has posted publicly anything including those search terms. And I've showed this to kids before, teenagers, and they're just blown away like, oh my gosh, it's that easy for people to access my information. And like every second someone posts about hating someone.
Right.
And a list of stupidity.
This is very valuable, very valuable. Hey, it reminds me as I scan through it, thank you for setting us up with Dana Brunetti on TWiT on Sunday. Dana wanted to get on TWiT because he was in his tuxedo, and I guess he looked so sharp, he wanted to get on TWiT because he was about to leave for the Oscars. Yeah. And so he messaged you saying, tell Leo I want to be on. So we called him. And we had him on the show, and it was great.
So fun. You know, Leo, the funny part of that story is he was messaging me back and forth, and finally he got on, and I was actually walking home, so I wasn't near a computer. So I called Chris, and I was like, put TWiT on. So I put it on speakerphone, and so I listened to the whole interview on my phone when I was walking to my house. I know. Who listens to TWiT on their cell phone? But I did it. I know he's such a fan of you and the whole network. So he was. I think he was just at home excited, and his girlfriend was probably getting ready and really busy. And
gorgeous.
I know.
She looks
so
sharp
sweet.
Too. Who is she?
Yeah.
I don't know her.
Johanna. She is. She works as a costume designer on movies, and they have been together for like 12, 14 years, a really long time. And I met her in LA in the fall, and she's just a wonderful, fun person, and she has a really great blog as well where she talks about fashion.
For people who don't know, Dana Brunetti produced The Social Network, the Facebook movie, and was kind of stiffed, unfortunately. I think they won for Best Adapted Screenplay, rightly so. Aaron Sorkin won. And I think they won a technical award, editing or mixing or something.
They won 3 out of 8, I think.
Yeah, but none of the biggies, which I think everybody, when that movie came out, everybody was saying Best Picture.
Best Picture.
And they did get nominated.
Yeah, and you know what? I loved it, but I also loved the King's Speech too. So I was happy to see the King's Speech do well.
That was a tough field. All of the 10 nominated pictures were very, very good.
I know. They were really, really good. Yeah. So, well, I'm glad he made it on the show.
He was just the sweetest. So if you talk to him, just say, thank you, Dana. Yes, I feel like we got this great scoop. Somebody about to go. I said, you have good seats? He said, row F. Oh, okay. That's pretty good.
Awesome. And he was tweeting from the event and posting lots of photos. It was fun.
Yeah, it was great. I asked him, are you going to do that? He said, if I don't get thrown out, I will. And, he was sitting with who was it called them? The nervous people with all the nominees. So that's pretty cool.
That's really cool. That's really fun.
Really proud of our boy, Dana.
I know. That's how I feel. It's a really great thing.
Done good. Speaking of Facebook.
Yes.
Tell me, this is weird.
This is really weird. I just stumbled across this headline, and I thought since we talk about Facebook often and we mention privacy, that it was interesting to see that Facebook has rewritten its privacy policy. So I guess it's sort of a first go at this. I love the headline from Mashable where they sort of talk about them rewriting it in what they call a human voice. Because, Leo, as we know, it's been terrible to go into the privacy policy content and try to navigate through there.
Well, it's not written by humans, it's written by lawyers.
It's written by lawyers. It's always really hard to find out how your data is being shared and how to make things private versus public. And if I'm looking at it right at facebook.com/about/privacy, I think this is the sort of new version. They sort of mention it at the top that this is we're trying to make it a simpler, more interactive way to share our privacy policy. And it is better. I mean, your information and how it's used is one of the headlines. How advertising works. So it is a human voice.
It is much clearer.
It's a shocker.
Yeah, it is much clearer.
It's about time, really.
Yeah, you wouldn't think it'd be that hard to write it like a human was writing
it.
But
we're all in shock because it is a human. I'm like, what is the catch here? Is this a joke or something? But it is a real thing, and I think it will help people a lot who want to dig through.
They probably spent millions of dollars on writers who could write in plain English. Technical writers need not apply.
Yeah, I'm sure this was a really big project. I laugh because I think that every couple of days Facebook is rolling out some brand new feature. They've just overhauled their comments, and there's always news about new technology in that social network, and then it's taken them this long to actually write the English language in a human voice. Frustrating.
Hey, before we talk about Hipmunk and get Leia Culver on and talk about Convore, I'd like to mention just briefly Audible.com. I haven't talked about them in ages. I love Audible.com. I just, I saw Eat, Pray, Love on the plane. And I said, why did I not read this book? I enjoyed the movie. The book's even better. Mm-hmm. And what's great is Elizabeth Gilbert, the woman who wrote the book, narrates it and does such a good job.
Oh, that's neat.
It's unusual. Sometimes having an author read it is not the best idea, but in this case, it works really well. When I went on my vacation, you better believe I loaded up on Audible books. Audible is just kind of the ultimate bookstore for people who like to listen. Now, most of us just don't have time to read much anymore. But there are plenty of times when we're stuck in the car, on a commute, or at the gym where if we had a book, we could read. If we could hold a book, we could read. Well, Audible.com is the place to go to find 75,000 titles in all the best categories, all the best sellers. You can go back and read the books that inspired the Academy Awards, Accidental Billionaires by Ben Mesrick, that inspired The Social Network, the book that inspired 127 Hours, which the name escapes me right now, but just a great, really dramatic book written by the guy. There's so much good stuff here. I just want you to go to audible.com. Take a look. Look, there's a new one from Seth Godin. I know you love his marketing stuff, called Poke the Box.
Ooh.
Yeah. He's just fascinating. He's just fascinating.
He's a great speaker, too. I've heard him speak before. It's wonderful.
He narrates this. Now, you could buy this book. You just go to audible.com, buy it for $10, but the way I do it is with a subscription. I get a book. Actually, I get 2 books a month That's the platinum plan. Or you can get the gold plan, which is a book a month. Why don't you start with the gold plan? And what's neat about the gold plan is the first month is absolutely free. So effectively, we're going to give you a book for free. Go to audible.com/night. Sign up for the gold account. First month is free. First book is free. And the hardest part is going to be figuring out what book you want to read.
I know. And you know what, Leo? I just logged into my account right now if I seem distracted because I am just about to download the Keith Richards book because I know that you've been raving about it.
Loved it.
Also, I didn't realize that Johnny Depp narrated it, and I just adore him.
Oh, he's the best part. There are actually 3 narrators. Joe Hurley does the middle part. So Johnny Depp starts, and he's great. Then Joe Hurley comes on, and he's actually doing a Keith Richards imitation, which at first is a little kind of weird, but you get into it. And then Johnny comes back, and then, I don't know, is this a spoiler? But at the very end, he goes, and now to finish the book, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Keith Richards. And Keith reads the last few chapters.
I think that will get people to download it.
I tell you, this is, it's just a great book. But, yeah, very good audiobook. So, yeah, we can make that our recommendation. Why not? It's a good, 23 hours and 8 minutes. So you're going to get a lot for your money's worth, so to speak.
I'm going to Australia next month, Leo, so that's why I'm downloading it.
Yes, this will get you there. Then you have to get another book to get back. Audible.com/night. The first one's free, kids, but you're going to love this wonderful resource. I tell you, I read. And that's just what's so great about Audible. And life. You're going to love it. Oh, it's such a good book.
I'm excited.
So what is a Hip Monk? I like the name. Sounds like a beer.
I think that I first saw this, Kevin Rose had tweeted about it, and I always, sort of pay attention if he tweets about some new service that he's using. And it's launched as a place to basically manage your flight, so for airlines, but they have just added hotel search to their flight service. A really simple tool to use to be able to manage all of your travel. So I think it seems like it's kind of one of those travel sites to watch. Because it has been getting a little bit of buzz, especially in the social media world lately. Let
me see if I can get a flight for you to Austin to join us. Now, so it's kind of like Kayak or Expedia, but does it have all the airlines or?
Yeah, I think it has all the airlines as well, and you can, choose if you have a preferred airline. For example, I fly Air Canada a lot, although I don't think they fly direct to Austin.
Now, look at this. This is kind of the best display I've ever seen, where it shows you on a grid. Mm-hmm. So you know immediately, like if I want afternoon flights or morning flights, you could see the price. You could sort by price, sort by agony. Agony is a combination of price, duration, and number of stops. And there's an iPhone app as well for this that Eileen is showing me. So this is pretty cool.
The display is really neat. The way it's almost like a calendar.
Oh, and they have this on the iPhone. It's exactly the same where you get the grid, but you can stretch it out or zoom in or zoom out. Mm-hmm. It uses pinch. That's neat. And I love agony sorting.
I know.
Sort by agony.
I know. It's just, it's a better way, I think, to view your information because I know I travel a ton and almost every week my agency's sending me flights that I can choose from and it's this long email and it's such a hassle to read through it. But if it was something like this where I could see, the actual hours in the day and then the price range.
And it's really easy to see the airline because they all have different colors. Wow, this is neat. You know what? This is just taking a category that is crowded between Expedia and Travelocity and Kayak and all the others, Orbitz, and making it different and neat and cool.
Yeah. Yeah, brilliant. It's like a new version of it. So they've just
2.0.
added hotel search as well. And one thing I've read that people do like about the hotel search is that you can also search for vacation homes. So it's, more than just your standard hotels. So that seems to be an appealing feature as well.
That's really cool. HIPMUNK, Hip Monk. I don't even know what that means. It's chipmunk without the C.
Yeah. Hip Monk.
I got it. I'm kind of slow.
It's okay, Leo.
I finally got it. Let's get Leia Culver on the line. Leia, of course, we remember from talking to her before. She was the creator of Pounce and a serial entrepreneur, has a new site called Convore, which is very timely. She's right there with the hip stuff. Leia,
hey, Leia.
Great to see you. Welcome to Net at Night.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Oh, of course.
Thanks for coming on the show. I think you were on the show before perhaps at some point.
Yes.
You remember it.
Yes.
At least someone remembers, Leo.
We don't remember, but you remember, and that's what counts.
It's not us. So tell us a little bit about Convore. And I know that you just started a conversation that people can join now in the TWiT section about being on the show, about this particular show, episode, I should say.
Yeah. So anybody can go check it out at convore.com/twit and chat with us, which is kind of cool. But the basic idea behind it is a way for groups to communicate with each other in real time on the web. And it's been really fun. It's very chatty, and things are a little bit organized into topics, so it kind of keeps things on track.
So I'm gonna try this right now. So Net at Night episode 191, is that the one I should go into?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah, that's the current episode. So you have to be in the TWiT group, and then these are sub discussions underneath it. This is cool. I want to use this more. This is like our chat room, only it's kind of. And now, how do you do this? Is it web only? Are there apps?
Right now, it's web only, but there is an API, and we're hoping on adding more apps in the future.
It's written in Django, isn't
it? You got me there. Yeah.
She's a Django fan. I knew it.
Yeah, we love Python here.
Yeah, who doesn't love Python? This is cool.
What do you think it is about group messaging that has so many people excited? Because it just seems like it's a space that's on fire right now.
Yeah, you know what's crazy is I've been interested in this space for about 2 or 3 years now. And just now it's really taking off. And I think it's because the model of everyone fitting into the same type of group of the basic category of friend doesn't really work. I mean, in our real life, we separate our relationships with people into, is this a business relationship? Is this a friendship? Is this person my doctor? Those type of things. So being able to sort of, filter your messages and conversation based on people is actually really important.
How is it different from just a chat room?
So it's a lot like a chat room.
I see you can do things like you can star messages, though, and you can reply to messages.
Yeah. There's a lot of different interaction you can do that's kind of fun to play with. You can also post, if you link to an image, the image will also show up in line, which is kind of cool.
So
yeah, it's definitely, I noticed right off the bat, it's just easy to use, easy to join groups, to create your own conversation. And it is kind of a crowded space right now, just reading a lot about the other competitors out there. How do you think you guys sort of have an edge?
Well, we're a little bit different in that the concept is kind of to be so chat rooms have been around for a while, right? But we sort of see this as like chat rooms, the next generation. So really brought into like Web 2.0 kind of style. Like you can sign in with Twitter and Facebook. It's really easy to get started and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I signed up for Beluga and Convore at the same time, and it just with Beluga, I sort of had to figure out how to navigate around the site a little bit, and I'm just freaked out right now because I guess Beluga asked for my cell phone number, and I wasn't really paying attention. I put it in, and now I just got a text from someone I sort of know, but that
now
also
they have your number. Yeah,
I know it's okay. I kind of have met him before, so it's all good. But it just seems like there's a few things that were kind of missed along the way. However, they just got acquired by Facebook, which I'm sure you may or may not know.
So one of the things that we use, of course, we'd never give up IRC because it's so lightweight and fast. But this is so much prettier. There's our IRC, and the same people could be in here. But one thing that would be absolutely critical, by the way, is that the Django Pony? I think it is. One thing that's absolutely critical is that we'd have some sort of moderating capability. Is there anything like that built into this, Leia?
So if you're an admin of the group, you actually have moderating capabilities.
I can delete them
group.
and ban people and that kind of thing?
Yes, and we're working on adding more and more functionality to make sure that you have, when you're the moderator of a group, when you're an admin, you have sort of a little more control over the group, and you can sort of make the group into what you want.
That's neat. I think this is really cool.
Yeah, it's really fun. Well, how do you find people are using it right now? I know, there's tons of different groups that have already been created, but is it kind of the tech community right now who's latched onto it?
I think it's been really easy for the tech community to adopt since it is similar to things like IRC. It's definitely based on IRC, and we love IRC, but we wanted to sort of make it a little bit easier.
Are you using XMPP or something underneath, the IRC-like underneath?
No, we aren't.
Okay.
Which is because we have this added layer of having the topics within the groups,
Right.
which isn't really.
That's not chat.
That doesn't really exist in XMPP and IRC.
Yeah.
How do you think people will use this, compared to, I normally have conversations, on Twitter that are in a more kind of public forum. So do you see this as something people may, choose to use because it allows you to have sort of more private chats?
Oh, definitely. I have plenty of private groups with my friends where I would say things that I would never say on Twitter.
Right, right. So it could be like a private Twitter. How much of your experience with Pounce influenced this? Not only in terms of how you designed it, but also how you built the company, things like that.
Yeah, that's a really good question because they are in sort of a similar space in that it's, group communication sort of online. And what I found when we were doing Pounce was I took a look at sort of what types of messages were being sent, and a lot of the things that people were doing on Pounce were replying to each other. So having conversations on Pounce. And Pounce wasn't really optimized for these long conversations that people were having. And so that definitely inspired me to want to do more with sort of communication and that back and forth sort of communication that I just don't think is as popular as it could be.
Right. You have Twitter-like features, mentions, so I can see everybody in all of my groups who have mentioned me. I can find groups. There's group discovery. I can join groups. You can have emails sent to you when a group that you're in has updates if you want. And I think this is actually kind of a nice mix between a chat, a forum, Twitter. It's kind of all of the above. I like it. Now, is this your company, Leah, or how did this get started?
Yes, I co-founded this with two guys, both named Eric Florenzano, who's a Django developer, and Eric McGuire, who's a designer, and they're both from Mochi Media. So they came from Mochi Media and came and joined me.
Are you in a startup club of any kind, a Y Combinator or anything like that?
Yes, we are actually part of this batch of Y Combinator. So winter, which goes through January through March.
That's exciting. That must be fun for you. I mean, the idea we should explain for those who don't know about Y Combinator. I figured you might be since I saw a Hacker News group there. Is Paul Graham started this as basically startup school. You get some money, but more importantly, you get to learn how to do it. And not that you need to. You've been through this before.
It's actually a very good experience for a bunch of different reasons. And a lot of them is the mentorship, but there's also really good connections you can make, really good speakers that come in and talk, people that I wouldn't even normally have the opportunity of, getting to see speak. So it's really exciting.
That's really neat.
That's really cool.
Congratulations on being part of that class. Who was it? There was
thanks.
That's like in this world, that's instant validation. In fact, there's somebody, I can't remember who it was, who invested in didn't they buy every Y Combinator?
Start Fund with Yuri Milner and Ron Conway. Yeah, they started a fund and just said we're going to fund every single Y Combinator company, which is a pretty bold bet.
I think it's a great bet. I bet you they did the math and it said this is better than us trying to figure out who's good in the space.
I'm pretty sure they did the math.
Just do the math. Yeah. Well, congratulations. That's neat.
Yeah, congratulations. What about just my last question? But what about sort of monetizing the site like this down the road? I mean, did you see this as something people would pay for, and if so, what would be the reason? Would there be additional features?
Yeah, so we're not charging for anything right now, but we have a couple different ideas that we're probably going to try out. And they're more based around paying for upgrades to the service, and particularly for businesses and large groups. So don't worry too much about your private and public groups right now. So. Incidentally,
somebody said, I love this line in our discussion group for this show. It's like Google Wave minus the suck. And I agree in some ways. It's very much real time. And it supports SSL, which is fantastic. Well done. So it's very private, very secure.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really important for some of the more private groups that you know that your data is safe and nobody's snooping it.
And you can use it in an open Wi-Fi access spot or at school and not have to worry about what's going on. I think this is pretty impressive.
It's really slick. Yeah, you guys did a super nice job.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
So let me ask you some questions, Leah, kind of separate from Convore. Is this your second startup?
Yes. Pounce was my first startup, so this is my second.
And you're awfully young. I mean, how did you dream of this?
Not that young.
Well, I mean, did you dream of this out of school? That you wanted to be a? Did you want to be a programmer? Did you want to be an entrepreneur? What was it? What was your vision?
So this might sound kind of crazy, but I wanted to be an artist. And I feel like it just so happened that software sort of really stuck with me as my, way to express myself that, really stuck with me, I guess. And so for me, I feel like creating software applications is more like, an art form than necessarily.
I totally agree with you. Yeah. It's art plus science. I mean, there's some science in there, but it's really, it's an expression.
Yeah. And it's really, the best thing for me is it's not just about personal expression, but it's about seeing how people use the site and use it to express themselves as well. So it's kind of this perpetuating art form. It's very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can tell that you care about the sort of design side of things because it just looks so good. Someone is asking in our conversation here on Convore how many people the chat can handle. I don't know if they're trying to break Convore, Leah, but...
if anybody could break Convore, it's us.
Okay. try your best.
Oh, Leah, careful.
Whoa.
Careful.
I'm actually pretty interested to see what happens.
All right, so we currently we only have 124 people in there, but if everybody who's in our chat room, which about 600 or 700 people, goes there right now, we'll see how well you handle that. What's the biggest group you've had so far on there?
I think that the tech group and the hacker news group are pretty big.
Okay.
Thousands of users.
But not all at the same time.
Not all at the same time.
We're going to get them all on at the same time.
Twit army bomb. I think they're coming. They're coming, Leah. They're coming en masse.
You do not need an invite to do this, right? You can just go to convore.com and sign up, right?
No invite required. You can sign up on Facebook or Twitter and get started in seconds.
You just use your Facebook or Twitter account and boom, goes to Dynamite.
Literally. You know what? I love the Google Wave comparison, Leo, because whoever mentioned that in this group is totally right. It felt like this feels like that's what Google Wave could have been. But this is just so much more.
Well, one of the things Google Wave had, Leah, was kind of plug-in architecture so you could add apps. Do you contemplate something like that?
That's actually something we've thought about a little bit, and it's definitely an interesting idea.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that really would bring you to your knees, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you go to school, Leah?
University of Minnesota.
And you studied computer science?
Yep.
Interesting. They taught you well if you got it's interesting because I think I've been reading a lot. I've been watching these old Lisp lectures from MIT. And they're great. They're free online. And it's the MIT Beginning Computer Science course. And that's exactly the thing that they're trying to express. They say, some people think computer programming or programming is about telling a computer what to do. It's not. It's a syntax for expressing ideas, for expressing thoughts. And when you start thinking of it, it's a different context. When you start thinking of it that way, it is an art, isn't it? It's It's an expressive art.
I don't think people would be so passionate about programming if it wasn't, in its way, sort of a really rewarding, fun thing to do.
I agree with you. It's neat that you've got that feeling about it. That's great.
Someone is asking for an iPad app. Any plans to have one? Oh, I just saw a very disturbing picture of Leo in that group too. So. Wow.
I think that's from Call for Help, Amber. I hate to tell you. I think that was our old show.
Oh, no, there could be one of me anytime soon.
Yeah, anyway,
sorry, Leia. So any plans for an iPad app?
So nothing at the moment, but definitely something we'd love to do. It works on an iPad right now, but of course we want to add a bunch more apps and things.
Right.
So
that's great. Well, you've got an API, so what you're really saying is, developers, go ahead. You're allowed. It's open.
Yeah. There's actually, just today, a couple Android apps came out built on our API. And I don't know if I'm going to get the names of them right off the top of my head. I think one's called Conversation.
Ah, cool. All right.
And there's another one too. And maybe the Erics can help me out by pasting the name of it in.
Good.
But.
Well, thank you, Leah. It's great to talk to you, and congratulations on yet another out of the... Did Kevin invest in this one too?
No.
Good. There's still room for the rest of us.
Good work, and this is a lot of fun there's lots of people chatting now. So
Question,
you've got
question,
some new fans.
question for you from the chat room. A good question. Can you embed this into another web page? Could I put a Convore conversation into my web page?
That's a great idea as well, and something we'll definitely think about. I mean, all these different apps and things. The Eric's just reminded me the other one's called Conk. So Conk Conversation are the Android apps. But there's definitely room to sort of build those types of integrations, and we're pretty excited about it.
And this is pure HTML, right? This isn't Flash. This is just HTML.
Yeah, all HTML, JavaScript, CSS.
Yeah, that's what I like about it. It's very clean, very fast.
Yeah, it is fast.
Yeah.
Love it. Thank you so much. And hopefully we'll have you back on soon. And either you'll be keeping up with this or I'm sure starting yet another company.
I think this is the one for you. This is it. This is a hit. This is out of the park.
I hope so.
Home run. All right. Thank you, Leah.
Thank you.
Boy, that's great. That's really cool. Leia Culver and Convore, CONVOR.com. We've got our site of the night coming up in just a little bit and our video of the week. Don't go away. Before we do that, though, I would like to mention Squarespace.com.
Of course.
Squarespace is the place for you to make your own website. One of the things Amber talks about, I'm going to talk about when I talk to these kids about controlling their presence on the net. You got to have a website. If you don't, it's bonging at me.
That's your ding. You got to mute it. Mute the Convore.
I'm getting a ding from Convore. If you don't have a website, you don't control your presence on the net. Fortunately, it couldn't be easier. Go to squarespace.com/night and try it for free. Click that big green button. Look what they need. Nothing. Not a credit card. No personal information. Just the name of your site, a password, an email address, which will only be used to give you your password if you forget it, or account status notifications, not for anything else, and a CAPTCHA. And now you've got a site for the next 2 weeks with all of the Squarespace features. Those great design templates, 60-plus designer templates that don't look like templates. In fact, once you choose one, then you can drag and drop and change everything. You can use CSS if you know it, but you don't have to. It's all completely easy to use. They've got, of course, all the features people want, including social media integration. As soon as Convore makes a way to embed on your website, you'll be able to do it using JavaScript or CSS. They've got Flickr widgets now. They actually could use RSS. They've got Twitter widgets. There's the RSS widget. Look at that. Just drag and drop, check some boxes, slide some sliders, and you're done. Couldn't be easier. Couldn't be better. If you're a photographer, as your partner Chris is, it's great for photographers, for artists, for portfolios. There's the Totally Rad Show. Has its own Squarespace site. Look at that. Don't you think you need a Squarespace site? You do. Squarespace. Just try it for free right now. Squarespace.com/night. If you decide to buy as little as $12 a month, and that includes hosting, really robust hosting, and of course the great software.
Be good for those kids you're talking to, Leo. Exactly.
Well, that's what I'm going to say. And I know you do this too. You got to have a site, and I'm going to tell them, there are ways to do this that are easy, that are fast, that you really ought to consider, because if you don't have your own site, you do not control your destiny.
Oh, definitely. And I always recommend Squarespace every time I speak to a group, because it's just so simple to use and so inexpensive, and just allows you to customize everything and look like you can design even though you can't design, which is a dream for all of us. Minus the Leia Culver. She can actually do it.
Django. Makes you want to learn Django. We got 253 people in there. I don't know if we're going to be able to break it, but this is good. It's
still fast.
It's still fast. It really feels nice. I like it.
I know, it's nice. So, Leo, for our site of the night, I've been doing a lot of research. I'm working on a new show, as I mentioned last week, and the show is focusing on mobile technology and apps. Not a surprise, it's such a big world right now. But I've had a really hard time when I'm searching for Android apps in terms of finding some of the best and just a directory to discover new applications. So this search engine called Chomp, I'm loving it right now. I found it on TechCrunch earlier today. And it has iPhone apps, but it also has a listing of Android apps. So really great way to categorize all the different Android apps. And of course, there's an Android app for Chomp too.
Chomp. Chomp. Yeah, this was on the iOS for a long time, and now I'm with just now on Android, which is great. So you can find either one, and these are all. Look at Lisa Bettany's, of course, is #1 on the camera apps, Camera Plus.
Wow,
98% hard. So this is kind of like Rotten Tomatoes. They got a meter too that tells you
tells you what's good.
How people like it. This is
so that's
great.
been handy because every time I research Android apps and I'm just kind of doing random Google searches, the results aren't great. I mean, there's not a lot of good. Well, there's some blogs, but this is I think a really well done directory.
And you can narrow it down, of course, to iOS or Android, and you can narrow it down to free or paid. This is great. CHOMP. No, with Android.
Now with Android. So that's fun. And for our video of the week, this is a fun one. Speaking of auto-tuning different videos, obviously Libya has been in the headlines recently, and a lot happening in that country. Well, a journalist from Israel has auto-tuned a recent speech from the Libyan leader. I think he spoke last week, and now this auto-tuned video has about 2 million views. It's kind of it's set to Hey Baby. I guess it's a hip hop song by a rapper named Pitbull. And this is making the rounds. I've seen it on not only mainstream news sites, but all over blogs as well.
Muammar Gaddafi, as you've never seen him before. Before we go to that as our farewell, let me say farewell to Amber MacArthur. She is online at ambermac.com. Her Twitter handle is ambermac. And you can watch her on Web Nation on CP24. And, of course, her great podcast, CommandN.tv. Great to talk to you, Amber.
You too, Leo. Next week we have Guy Kawasaki.
What? Really?
Yes. Yeah. He's coming on next Tuesday.
Oh, his book comes out. In fact, that's exciting. Great. Is he going to be out here, or we're going to have to Skype him, I guess?
He's going to be in Toronto, Leo. Strangely
that's funny.
I know.
Maybe he can go over to your house.
I told him, I said, you have to tell me what your Wi-Fi is like at the hotel. And not Wi-Fi, hopefully your internet connection, because you might not be able to do it there.
Come on over. Ladies and gentlemen, we wind up the show and get ready for TNT with this word from Muammar Gaddafi. Good night, Amber.
Bye, Leo.